Happy Wonderland Wednesday! Today, our guest is my very special friend, David Shair. And David is a storyboard artist. Now, maybe many of you know what a storyboard artist does, but maybe some are not familiar with that. So we're going to dive in with Dave on what a storyboard artist does today. Dave's credits include Kamp Koral for Nickelodeon, the new SpongeBob spinoff that's airing on Paramount Plus. Dave also has worked on the new Looney Tunes, including writing some episodes as well. And when I first met Dave, he was working on a show called Fish Hooks, which is a really fun show. Hey guys, hey Julie, it's good to see you guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in live. If you have a friend that you might want to invite to the show, you can go ahead and click on the arrow. Maybe it's this side. Click on the little airplane button and you can go ahead and invite them. I'm going to go ahead and add Dave to the stream. Nope, he's not here yet. I'm going to go and vamp for a few minutes while Dave gets on the stream. And then we'll be ready to go. Here he is. Hey, Dave. I am going to add you and invite you. Let's see. There you are, my friend. For Dave Shair. It's weird. I called you Dave. I always call you David. I only really know you as a David, so.
Oh, boy.
Hi!
Hi. Hey.
It's so good to see your face.
Good to see you too. Wow. Hey, look.
Welcome to Alicyn's Wonderland. Thank you so much for joining us.
Totally. Hey, great to be here. You're right above me. Look at that.
Yeah, we're like the Brady Bunch here.
Yeah, totally. This is...
Which one are you?
Come on.
If you had to pick a Brady Bunch character, which one would you be?
Oh, which one you think is most like myself, or which one would I want to be?
Both.
Oh gosh. It's been a while since I've been to the Brady Bunch. I'm probably, well, I am the youngest, so is that Bobby? Okay. I'll be Bobby. Yeah, that probably fits. But I was I had two way older sisters, so I was pretty much grew up from 5 on alone in the house. So I'm sort of youngest only, I guess. But
Ooh.
Who would you want to be? I wonder who you'd want to be. Was Greg was pretty popular, but so was Marsha. Marsha was pretty popular, I think.
Marsha.
Yeah, she got whatever she wanted. That's pretty cool.
Well, we can't both be Marsha.
That's true, I guess. Okay. Well, then I am Jan.
I'll fight you for it.
Really?
It's so good to see your face. I haven't seen you in person. You know, we've chatted and I've seen your avatar, but I haven't seen you in person in a couple of years, I think. How are you doing?
I am just an avatar now. That's all I really am. This isn't
Aren't we all?
It's been a while though. Yeah, I know, in person. That's like, we'll remedy that soon, I promise.
Yes. Yeah, it's so good to have you on here. The funny story for you guys that are tuning in, Dave, do you ever go by Dave? I always call you David.
Either one, call me whatever you want. I'll understand.
So Dave/David was one of the guests on the old school original podcast version. No, the second reboot of Alicyn's Wonderland, because the show started as a web series, then became a podcast, and now is being rebooted as an IGTV show and turning into a podcast on Monday.
Oh
so
it's a reimagining.
Yeah, it's the reimagining. It's like we're taking it back to the future.
That's amazing.
They should make a movie about that.
They should. Oh, someday we'll get some funding and we'll make that.
Yeah, I think it could be very marketable. Back to the future.
I get it. I think you got to think about it a little bit, but I think I could get it.
So let's start at the very beginning with young little David. And I think what you do is as a storyboard artist is such a cool profession, because I was talking with Elizabeth Ito last week, and she was saying, as a kid, she didn't realize that you could be an artist. So, and not just be a starving, bohemian or something. And you've made this career as a storyboard artist. And I'm so curious about how you got involved in all that. How did it start?
Oh, well, and I guess I like to draw as a kid. But I wasn't very good at it, and I didn't do it like prolifically. I just like to do mainly Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or Looney Tunes characters, maybe a Disney princess here or there. So those were most of my what I like to bring to life via drawing. And
No
then at
Heathcliff,
some
no Heathcliff, no Garfield.
no Heathcliff. Garfield is hard as heck. Oh gosh. But you know, there's a game where it's called, we play at the studio sometimes called Draw Garfield, and just out of your imagination, just draw him. It's very hard. He's a puzzle. But you know, you could do it maybe with practice. But it is a game we play because he is a different one to play. But yeah, no. But I do like Heathcliff. I do like Garfield. I just never really drew him. And then there was a point in high school where it was like, oh, you can't do this quite as a job. You got to get serious, kid. Even though I did art classes and such, and I was like, oh, okay, like you have to be talented to do it. And I was like, so I'm mostly eating lunch during art class here. Oh, did I freeze for a second there?
For a second, yeah. But you're
I did, right? Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I was mostly eating lunch in art class during high school. So that was more, and I didn't do, you know, I wasn't really, I was just like, oh, this is fun. But it wasn't, I was taking it seriously. In my mid-20s, until I got to that point, I got into improvisational acting.
You did
that
groundlings.
led me into animation. I did, well, I did do Groundlings eventually. At this point, I was in New York. So I did this place called The Pit, the People's Improv Theater there. And it's kind of where there's a bunch of improv theaters in New York City all around, I want to say like the 20s somewhere, maybe the 28th Street or something. But they're all kind of there. And I took a career class there. And because I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was working with animals at that point at the zoo. But I don't know, entertainment and improv. I was like, acting, but there's got to be something here. And animation popped up in the career class. And I was like, all right, I'm just going to go for it. It has acting. I just need to learn to draw. I went to art school, and that was so, and then just did that.
Wow. So you actually didn't go to art school till you were in your mid-20s. That's an interesting career path.
Late 20s, yeah.
Late 20s. Wow.
Yeah. It was you can do this, I think, at any point. So you know, it's never too late, I think. I mean,
I love that.
Yeah. That's not, there's even later. You could do even later, way later than the late 20s, but that was just when I happened to do it. And,
how did your family feel about your sudden career change?
Oh, they were very supportive. That was incredibly helpful. You know, it's not, you can't always choose your family. Luckily, mine was very supportive, and they said, you know, try a semester, see how it goes. And the first semester, and in that first semester, I was like, oh, I was like, I'm a space cadet. Like, it's hard to concentrate with me sometimes. But I found out I could spend like 30 to 40 hours on one drawing and just like doing it, you know, not like straight, but like a good amount of time each time, and just sort of like focused on it. And I thought like, oh, I could never do that on just like one thing, but I found out I could. And it was like, okay, all right, maybe this is something I can do.
That's amazing. And it seems like cartooning and storyboarding is kind of a cross section of the things that you were already working on that sort of can't be taught, like comedy and timing and things that you learn in improv and perfect and improv. Perfect.
As best you can.
Improv is so imperfect. But, you know, do you feel that helped you later?
Most definitely. That's why I picked it. The acting in animation, I had two choices myself in school on what to emphasize, and with acting was character animation or storyboarding. And storyboarding seemed to involve a lot of things all at once. So does animation, but in terms of storyboards, it's cinematography, editing, acting, writing, even staging, which might be the same as cinematography, and I just might be repeating myself. But there's a lot of things in storyboards, and I like thinking of a lot of things at once. And I'm like, that's cool. This seems to be the job for that. And being able to write, you know, improv acting leads to being able to write well. I always recommend improvisation to anyone who wants to do animation. I think it's especially storyboarding. It's incredibly helpful.
Can you, for those of our viewers that might not be familiar, can you help describe the storyboard artist process in the
Oh,
animation
yeah.
pipe chain?
Totally. Okay, so it depends on what kind of a show it is. Some shows are script driven, meaning a script is written and you storyboard from a script. Some shows are storyboard driven, where it's an outline given to you, basically like kind of how a story is going to go, but not so much dialogue or anything. And you have to take that and interpret it and create a cartoon from it and write all the dialogue as a storyboard artist. So it's near the beginning of the whole pipeline. It's after either a script's written or an outline is written. And usually an outline becomes a script. In storyboard driven, we're getting the outline and we're making the script within the board while drawing the cartoon. So it's like sometimes you're writing before you draw. Sometimes you're drawing and then you write. You know, it's like, oh, so he's got to say something here. He's happy. Bugs Bunny is happy. What would, you know, and later I'm like, I'll come back to that. Let's see what, you know, whatever Bugs Bunny might say when he's happy. So
It's funny because you mentioned that as a kid you like to draw Looney Tunes, and now you're working on Looney Tunes.
Yeah, as I got to work with them. It was a thing. I did four hard years with those Looney Tunes characters. Like it was and then I went on parole. No, it was good. It was like going to like Acme University. It was like college. It was
Literally
two shows. Yes, that was a thing. And we had to study them. You know, I mean, growing up, I watched them with my dad. I watched them with my sister. We loved them as a family. So that was in my head. But also while doing the shows, a lot of times I would watch it over breakfast. I'd watch a couple of shorts and just sort of get the rhythm of them as much as I could in my head. Because yeah, you still have to study while on the job. It never stops.
Would you say that was a dream come true for you?
Yeah, totally. Everything else is just going to be downhill, uphill, whatever stinks after. It's never going to compare. I've reached my peak, as they say. And now it's time to slide down that mountain on my butt.
The slow slip into insanity.
Yeah.
Well, with Looney Tunes, that is a board-driven show. Is that right?
Yep, that one was board driven. I did the two different shows. The first one was semi-board driven. It was a different kind of process where we all kind of boarded on
Which show was that?
That one was called New Looney Tunes. Also, before the first season it was Wabbit. The second and third season it was New Looney Tunes. And that was, we all wrote together in a room. Like there was an outline and some dialogue and such, but we kind of all storyboarded as a team in like a day. We did it on Post-its. We just like would do the storyboard on Post-its.
Oh my God, those are my favorite Post-its, by the way, the extra large ones.
These ones? Yeah, this is, funnily enough, if you get these are pretty much the exact aspect ratio of a TV screen and like a widescreen HD TV screen. Yeah, totally. And if you draw in here, you're getting the same format. You got it. So
I can write for Looney Tunes.
You can do it. It's like you get part of the story, I get part of the story, and you'd be drawing what it's going to look like on these little Post-its. And then putting at the end, we collect all our sections. Like we had like 4 hours to do it, put it up on a wall, and they're all in order. And then the showrunner, who's the head writer, and also the two other writers would go over it and punch up the dialogue and things we had written and make it like funnier. And then he'd pitch it at the end of the day. So it was like a whole day-long process to form the basic story. And then the storyboard artist would take that cartoon once it was all pitched and approved back to their cube, and they'd scan all those drawings into the computer and then draw over them and do all the in-betweens and sort of like plus it and things. And that was the process on that previous show. It was a team doing it in a room that just then got handed off to a storyboard artist later, and then they would make the whole thing within Toon Boom Storyboard Pro, the program, and draw it all pretty like and stuff.
And so in the room, was that all board artists? Was it a mix of writers and board artists?
Good question. It was writers and board artists to start, then leave. And then the board artists, maybe a revisionist, which I was, and also I was doing like revisions and boards on that show a little bit. but sometimes boards, artists, and revisionists.
You know what, David? Your audio is cutting out a
Oh,
little bit.
we froze again.
Let me just
Right.
double check. Let's both check our internet connections.
Sometimes
Let's check our internet connection to make sure we're on the right way.
Doing it, and then the writers would come back in. So also we'd have an art director. Am I still there? Am I?
No, I can see you now.
Am I frozen? I will keep talking.
Can you see
and
me?
see if.
I think there's a delay though. Yeah. You know what? Let's disconnect and reconnect on here. Want to do that? Okay. I'll meet you back here, everybody. We're gonna redo that. Guys, take 3. I think we've got it figured out this time. We're gonna re-invite David Shair to the stream. And thanks for everybody for standing by. Hopefully we can get this issue solved. For anybody that was on the call a few months ago with Dwayne Capizzi, and we had some issues with an older iPhone. So I think that might be the issue. So David's going to join us again on his iPad. And if that's all good, we'll start right where we left off. Shot. David! Hey guys, thanks for joining. Let's see. I like saying a little prayer.
All right.
Hi.
Yay.
You even look clearer.
Oh, wonderful. That's awesome. Sorry about my phone. It was created by cavemen. They used rudimentary tools to do it. So now we're on a fancy iPad Air 2, which was won on Let's Make a Deal, by the way.
What? You won an iPad on Let's Make a Deal?
Yeah.
That story.
Oh, I was dressed as Ken from Street Fighter 2, but I had sock and boppers on my hand. Anyway, it seemed to have worked, and they picked me as a contestant. So I had to shadow box Wayne Brady at one point, but ended up winning. I picked curtain number 2, and it was a good deal. So
really,
yeah.
Wow. So what else did you win other than your iPad Air?
It was like a TV and an iPad Mini and a big like speaker system that was like is now way outdated, like a speaker thing, and then an Apple TV. So anyway, it was like an entertainment package.
Wow, how perfect. Thank you, universe.
Oh yeah, that was sort of it was very cool and lucky, and
I knew you were a winner the moment I met you.
Oh, you got me totally wrongly pegged, Alicyn.
I'm gonna editing the audio for, so I want to take it back to so you worked on the new Looney Tunes, which was originally Wabbit, sorry, and then you worked on Looney Tunes shorts.
Looney Tunes cartoons, they're called.
Looney Tunes cartoons. And can you just give a quick recap of what the storyboard process is like for that show?
Yeah, totally. It was basically we'd do those beat boards in a week. We'd get the outline. We'd do a very rudimentary comic strip in like a week of it, and show it, present it, do it with the voices. We'd pitch it with our voice, with your voices, with our voice, doing the characters as well as we could. You're the pro at that. I was just spitting. If it was Daffy or Sylvester, I could spit, and I knew that would be fine. And then it was a matter of going before puberty to get to Tweety and Bugs and such. So Eric Balza is a very talented man to be able to do those voices. But anyway, we do that, and then if that all got approved, we'd usually punch up gags and things in the room after the beat board, and then after 3 or 4 weeks, that's where I draw it out and do all the writing, and then have to pitch it again to the entire crew. And do all the voices and everything. So you get to put on a show, which is something else a storyboard artist gets to do. They get to put on a show. So if you like that, that's a good thing. So that's my favorite part.
It seems like it's all your loves and passions are kind of coming together in one thing.
Yeah, no, totally. It really it does. It seemed to be the right job. Sometimes it works out. I don't know. I think if you follow what you like to do, if you know, eventually you'll find something. It doesn't have to be the job though. This just happened to be the job. It could be the side thing on the side that gives you the, you know, the joy, and then that might end up becoming the job. You never know. So just follow your interests, I'd say.
That's so interesting. It's because you actually started, or before you went to school for art, you were, had a teaching fellowship at the Wildlife Conservatory Society.
Yeah, well, it's a fancy name for the Bronx Zoo in New York. So that's what it is. So they renamed it, yeah, the Wildlife Conservation. So I went to zoo camp as a kid
Zoo
from
camp.
like ages 8 to 12. Yeah, zoo camp. You know, we all went there. You know, the old thing. Anyway, I was a camper there, and you go for a week. Each day you learn about animals from a different continent, and then at the end you sleep over at the zoo. So it's a fun thing. I went every summer. I loved it.
Yeah.
And then I was a teen intern, but then eventually I became a counselor, and that sort of like a teaching fellow at the zoo, where I was the counselor and I had to handle animals and show them to kids and teach them about wildlife conservation and habitat preservation.
And you were also part of the Marine Mammal Stranding team?
Yeah. Isn't that an interesting name? I never stranded a marine mammal once. I don't know what we were doing. We were just rescuing them. It made no sense to me. I was like, where's the stranding happening?
I signed it for stranding.
I was stranding. It was like, you know, you dig a little sort of ditch in the sand and let them fall in. No, it was but it was cool. It was a great thing. And I went to school in Miami, so there's a lot of water, and marine biology is pretty big there. So we were trying to, you know, rescue any sea creatures that would wash up on shore. Not strandings wouldn't happen all the time, but it was something where you'd be prepared for it, and sort of learn about also preserving the ocean, wildlife in the ocean.
That's cool. When I was in high school, I volunteered at the New England Aquarium.
Hey, that's a good one.
Amazing experience. But I'm so interested. This is interesting because many of your credits, Baby Shark's Big Fishmas special. You know, you're working on Kamp Koral. Even Steven Hillenburg, the creator of SpongeBob, Kamp Koral is a spinoff of the SpongeBob series, was a marine biologist. Do you think? And fish hooks.
Yeah.
Do you think that your background in marine biology helped you get hired on those jobs?
You know what? It's a good question. I mean, because the thing is, you audition for these jobs a lot of times. You're auditioning as a board artist. You know, it's like you have to audition. We have to audition to do an art job.
You have to slate your name.
You kind of do. You know, yeah, in a way, you'll do like a little cover page and sort of like, yes, like, I'm David, you know, and you have to say, I don't know why they want to know your height. It makes sense. But you're trying. But it was just a thing. I added a couple of inches because that's what us guys do. But it was, you know, I audition, and basically a lot of the times when I pass the auditions, it would be a show where I get to write as well as draw. I do better for some reason when I get to write and draw at the same time. Don't know why. It just, you can make it your own a little bit more. And then I remember fish hooks. I had to figure out a character that was a crab, this crab that didn't have a character assigned to him. And basically they just gave me, he lived in a mansion. And so I was like, okay, what would a crab in high school be like if he grew up in a mansion? That's what I thought. I focused on the word mansion. And I was like, okay, I'm going to make him like sort of rich, spoiled. He seems to be a jerk based on how they want the story to go. So it's like a rich, spoiled jerk in a mansion, almost like Montana Max, you know, or something. And just sort of did that. But I don't know if maybe drawing the animals, drawing the fish, drawing a crab, knowing maybe how their bodies move, how they use it, animal behavior. It might have, you know, who knows? It might have slipped in there. That's the thing. It's like, you know, growing up with cats might have helped me with Sylvester. It's like, you know, you can do little jokes here and there that are familiar, because the familiar is what I think, you know, things that are true to real life can bring like a lot of humor. So if you experience a lot of life, I think naturally you're going to be able to bring a lot of humor to whatever you're working on. So yeah, just experience things, I'd say.
I think, you know, working in children's animation, I'm sure you feel like this a lot. Like, it's kind of like that's, you know,
Yeah, Mr.
The
Krabs.
level of humor that is like super fun and also just super accessible. I mean, having a 5-year-old, I feel like I'm always making him crack up. It's like the best part of my day. And I'm like, yeah, this is kind of, like you said, my humor might be peaking with my son, basically.
It's like, but you have this great audience, right? Like your
Yeah.
son, and you're like, if I can just make him laugh, like it's totally worth it. It's just one person. This is one special person,
Yeah.
but just it doesn't have to be a whole group of people, just that one. And then it's like that was, it's wonderful. That's great. So your boy, I would see it's been a long time. I want to, to see it. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah, he's 5 now. It's so crazy.
Gosh, wow.
But yeah, we'll have to, we haven't checked out Kamp Koral yet, but want to. And, we definitely
Oh,
watch Looney Tunes and stuff. So
yeah, the
I'm
Looney
you posted
Tunes.
some of the videos you did that were on YouTube, to Instagram. I showed him those.
Whoa, really? Did he
Yeah.
like them? Did he? What do you think?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Did he just push?
We
He
all
didn't
like
push
it.
the phone away. It was just like, nope. Uh-uh. I
Has he ever pushed the phone away?
I don't. I don't. No. Okay.
He
Well, that's
loves
good. I'm glad. That's awesome. I love that. Yeah, there's some that actually ended up on YouTube. That's the first time that's happened to me. I might be the last. I don't know. Uh, the Looney Tunes cartoons seem to go to different places, which
hmm
has been very cool. And there's some great fans also for it that are like reaching out and such. And it's and that's really cool to see, on Twitter and Instagram. It's like we have social media now that's very big, and then these cartoons are being released bit by bit. So
Yeah.
it's the first show that I worked on where I'm hearing from the fans almost in real time of them watching, had just watched it, or something. So
Yeah.
uh,
That's interesting.
very cool, very cool. Yeah, they're on HBO Max mostly, and then Kamp Koral, which I'm working on now, is on Paramount Plus. So
hmm
you got to chase those streaming services to find them, but they're there.
Get them all.
Yeah, just get.
What's it like? I mean, working on such a well-known property like Looney Tunes.
Oh, it's been around a lot longer than we have. The characters, like we're working for them, is the way I was always thinking of it. It's like Bugs. But Bugs has been his thing. He's been at this 80 years, much longer than any of us. So my job is just to basically give him a stage and let him do his thing. That was how I thought of these characters. Um, it was just you're giving them the stage, their way, whatever you can to make them have them succeed and let them do their thing. And that's where I just sort of try to listen to them and as best I could. It's odd, but I think that's how you do acting choices and things sometimes. I
Uh-huh.
don't. Do you experience that when you do voice auditions, like doing jobs? Like, do you imagine, uh,
What it
you
looks
know,
like?
yeah? Are you the character? Are you seeing everybody in front of you while you're doing it?
Yes, yes. And sometimes it's like physicalizing the action, like actually, if I'm stirring a pot, actually stirring the pot, actually looking up. You want to try and stay on mic, but you really just need to have such a developed sense of imagination to be able to visualize so that you can put yourself in that situation. But I thought it was interesting what you said about how like they're talking to you because Elizabeth Gilbert in her book Big Magic talks about how there's this collective consciousness of art and ideas that are just kind of out there
Yeah.
and we become channels for them to communicate to. And I really resonated with that. And I wondered if it was like that for you with Bugs, Bugs kind of dictating, hey, kid, write this down. My
And he
term.
tried to make me write just the dirtiest stuff. I mean, like, but I had to censor. I was like, no, you've been around a long time. I know you're 80. You've lived your life. What anything goes. But I'm like, sir, we need to go back to when we had. But no, it was like that. It was you'd hear. It was great. It was like it was just you'd have him. It's like maybe he's turning to you and he's like, all right, what am I gonna say here? And it's like then it's just now it's using that improv knowledge, using that emotion within you, and just sort of like what what is coming out. Like if I have this, if he is excited and now I'm Bugs and I'm being a character, which is, that helped Groundlings improv, helped a lot with characters, by the way. It just sort of like, I am Bugs, I am excited, you know, how am I gonna, you know, like, oh, would you look at that? You know, like, geez, I don't know, geez Louise. I don't know if he'd say that. It's like, maybe he wouldn't say geez Louise. So you try it again, you know, but basically if it's coming from a real emotional place, you should, and you are being the character, it should end up right. I feel like it should. It's in there somewhere.
It's very cool to hear you talk about it from your perspective, because in a way, your job and my job, we are the merging of one being that is the cartoon character. You from the action side, and us voice actors from the vocal side. So, you know, it would be really cool to have a show where you had those people in the same room. Like, you know, doing something like that is an interesting idea.
Totally. And you know what? You as a voice actor influence the drawings as well, your performance, because the storyboard revisionist, which is another job besides a storyboard artist, goes in.
You did on Fish Hooks, right?
Yes, I was a storyboard revisionist most of my career. And so what I would end up doing is, after, even Fish Hooks was a storyboard driven show, the storyboard artist wrote the show. So the voices weren't done when the storyboard artists did it. They were the ones writing the dialogue. So then the voice actors would go and record it. And then they'd make an animatic out of it, which is a storyboard played in time to sound and music and with the voices. So you basically see it. It's almost like a animation, but with still frames. And you're seeing, like, you know, I'm holding a cup here in this drawing, and then I'm there in the next drawing. And then I'm like, in this drawing. So you're just seeing the still photos rather than the in-betweens of animating it. So that's a storyboard animatic. So the revisionists would get that. I would get that. The voice actors would be there. And sometimes the voice actor would bring like an awesome thing to it. They do something with their voice that was really funny, really amped up the story. And suddenly the drawings weren't supporting that. They needed to be plus. The drawings needed to be strengthened. They needed to match the new fabulous acting of the voice actor. So I would go in, I'd listen to the voice actor, try to interpret their emotion, what they were feeling in my head, you know, in my thing, and then draw it and draw the character doing that.
Cool.
So you would influence the drawings for sure.
Very cool. Yeah. It's like people are not working in the same room, but we're all after the same goal, which is to create a character that is dynamic and entertaining and funny for many shows.
Totally. It is. And, you know, everyone can point. I remember reading in a book, it's like, that's my character in an animated show, because anyone could say that worked on it. You know, the storyboard artist, the character designer, the person who designed what they looked like, the color stylist, the person who colored that character, the background artist, you know, the one who did the stage for them, the voiceover actor, the writer, even, you know, the director. You know, it's basically, you're all contributing to this. It's a giant team sport. We're all on a giant team. If you like team sports, animation is it. Or you know, be a professional basketball player. That too. You can do that too, I guess.
You know, I mean, if you get to choose, why not do both?
Sure. I think, that has happened before, you know. So actually, door-to-door
brush salesman, as you say.
So Daffy's done that job. I know that. He sold those brushes.
That's so interesting. So what has been some of your favorite characters to work on?
Oh boy, that's a great question. Boy, you know, I liked B. Goldfishberg on Fish Hooks because she was an actress and that took herself way too seriously. And so I felt like I could bring something to that world, and I could have fun with the way she was posed and the way she composed herself, because she was an actor. So she could go big, and it was like, oh, as a female character that can go big and crazy and, you know, really need to be reined back when she did. And I loved that, and I loved the acting angle with her. So B. Goldfishberg on Fish Hooks. And then, of course, you know.
That's Kari's role. Is Kari B?
Chelsea. She did Chelsea, who was amazing. She was amazing as Chelsea. Everyone should go and listen to her Chelsea, because it might be the funniest voice on the show. and one of the funniest I've ever heard. And then this was oh gosh, I'm spacing on her name. She's a big Disney star, and now I have lost. Someone probably knows in the chat. Who did be she was so very nice, and for some reason it is not hitting me at the moment. It'll probably pop up later, but she's very cool. She has blonde hair. I remember. Oh God.
There's it down.
Oh boy.
IMDb it.
Yes, please do. She did great as B. By the way, Chelsea Kane, thank you very much. I see the C Brown.
Chris, you deserve a prize.
Chelsea Kane is very, yes, she was awesome. She's awesome, and yeah, there was a lot of great voice talent on that show too. So, and then I would say, well, yeah, any of the Looney Tunes characters. Wonderful.
Do you have a favorite Looney Tunes character to board?
That's a great question too. I mean, I always love Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner, and I did get to do one of those. It hasn't come out yet. I liked that them. It was just always super funny to me, and it was mostly silent. But I'd say the character though that I did feel very akin to and did a lot of cartoons for was Daffy Duck. So he's my mom's favorite character. He was very funny, a little bit crazy. You could go lots of places with him. So Daffy was very good for me in that respect. So yeah, but they all have a thing. They all have something special. Tweety was very fun to draw for me. Also I recently got to do Pete Puma and a cartoon. Pete Puma Bugs Bunny cartoon just came out on HBO Max. So,
oh wow,
that was cool.
Stream it now.
You can.
Yes, you can go
right now. You could do it right now if you want it. Yeah, well,
you could do it while you're watching this. Why not?
Yeah, keep this on. Keep this on the side.
Yeah, we don't need your full attention. Just
not the full. No. It's divided anyway. There's already two of us. It's like, where do you look? I don't
exactly.
know. Probably mostly at Alicyn. That's probably the best bet. Look at Alicyn.
For anybody that's just tuning in, this show is Alicyn's Wonderland, and it's a weekly interview show where we sit down with people that work in animation and video games, and we talk about what they do and any kind of cool stories that they have. So if you like it, feel free to go ahead and follow me, and you can even get updates so that you get looped in every week. Today's guest is David Shair, and David's hey David. David's hi. Hi. I can see the top of your head. Don't look at my dad. He is a storyboard artist, so we're talking all about that. If you guys have questions for David, go ahead and put him in the box below. We'll save a couple minutes at the end and try to get to any questions you might have about.
I see one about doing a Daffy Duck impression. I mean, the closest thing to doing a Daffy Duck impression would probably be that. That's kind of. Well, I have to take a drink of water, but.
Oh, good.
It's like, that's how I would pitch him. You know, it would just be this fast thing. And it's like, all right, fine. Okay, good. You know, it's not perfect, but it's close. And, you know, that would pretty much be my way of like pitching Daffy Duck. He's fast, he's furious. He's causing chaos wherever he is. That's how we did it on the cartoons I've been on. He's a little less of the greedy Daffy. That's kind of, who I also love. And I also did bring into some of the cartoons, but we go a little bit more of original wacky Daffy with him. So he's kind of like, he's a fast talker. He's you know, he's ready to go. He's like, all right, Porky, let's do this. Get out of my way. Anyway, that was Daffy. Yes.
Now, what about do you have any? How do you stay inspired? Not just this year, which has been challenging for many people, but just throughout your life, do you have hobbies or things you'd like to do to keep your inspiration up?
Yeah, well, I still do improv. I'm doing it over Zoom now. I do it.
How's that?
Once or twice a week. It's all right. It's like I've gotten more used to it. You know, you can't do as much space work where you're using your body and holding up objects and things and, you know, changing the stage picture. But there's other ways to do it, using the camera, you know, and stuff, and sort of like, and you know, changing it's like, oh, but I'm back here. I'm doing, you know, now I'm shouting at you, you know, I'm far away now. So it's like, you know, and taking it. So it's a different way of doing it. It's been all right though. I still have fun. My brain still gets activated by it. I've also been watching a lot of sitcoms. I love sitcoms.
Nice.
Those are pretty much what we're doing when we're making cartoons. We're doing sitcoms. So also watching a lot of sitcoms can help you. Just a little tip. You want to think like the way we cut the camera is you're starting, you start with that master shot and then you're cutting in two things. You're cutting to a character's face here, character's face there, wide to the master shot, letting everyone know that you're still in that room. And just sort of looking at how sitcoms kind of choose their shot choices or other comedies is a great way to get better at storyboarding.
Very interesting. So when you were going through your training for art school, did you specifically study storyboarding, or was that something you learned on the job?
A great question. I did emphasize in storyboarding at my art school. I went to the Academy of Art University in San Francisco. They had an animation major, but you could emphasize in certain things. And that was one of the reasons I chose that school as well. I wanted to emphasize in storyboarding. And the thing was, the classes were a little few and far between. There were some, but not like a lot. So I did have to do some study on the side and sort of like learn it from books and learn it from like, there's a Batman the Animated Series book that's great that shows their storyboards for TV. And there's an Art of Animation book that was Half Beauty and the Beast that shows some storyboards for feature. And then we just like, people would have it in art school, like people, like you'd grab stuff from their computer files, like they'd have some storyboards from Lady and the Tramp. They'd have some storyboards from, you'd find some Turtles. And it's just sort of like you collect all this reference and you're like, you start to get it, you eventually start to get it. So yeah, but always just being a student. That's a great way to get good at storyboarding. Learn and experience comedy. Watch comedy shows. Just even watching a show,
This is such great advice for anybody looking to maybe get into storyboarding or storyboard revision. Is there anything else that you recommend for somebody that maybe wants to follow a career path like you?
Yeah, well, I always recommend improvisation. If you don't have to go to art school. You definitely don't have to do that.
Oh,
You can do that. It's totally cool. But I'm saying if you have, and that's what I did, and the great thing about that is you have other students that you're competing against, you're learning from, you're trying to get better. You know that this person's really good, and now you have to I have to get better than them, and sort of like
right.
you have people to refer to, and you have great teachers that can, have wisdom they could pass on to you. But if you don't quite have the money for art school, there's plenty of ways to take cheaper classes. The Animation Union has classes if you happen to be here in Los Angeles. You can do classes online. I'd say you can do classes in your hometown. I'd say the fastest way is to learn to draw the human figure. Do figure drawing. Nudes. It's it's going to be a bit different to start, but you'll get used to it.
It's a show rated.
They all become shadows eventually. They all become shapes. It's just like, the human is just a circle on top of a column, on top of a torso shape. That old shape.
Mine's anyway. Square.
Yours is square? That's what happens. You also notice you're like, wow, I have, it's an oval. Or, yeah, there's some people, yeah, it's a square. It's, it's strong. It's like, then you're like, what? That's great. It's like a whole thing,
Yeah.
And that's character design. And then you learn, but I'd say, and then eventually you put clothes on them, and then, but you need to do the nude stuff first because you got to know what the clothes are going on to.
Yeah.
And then eventually, it's weird. The more you do it, the better you get. I was just doing a thing where I remember in art school just couldn't draw a nose. This face has a nose. I'm drawing something there. It doesn't quite look like a nose. One day, a nose is there. And I had to I stood back from my paper. I was like, what is this wizard magic that happened?
Wow.
One of those things where it's like you keep drawing, eventually these little discoveries happen, these little improvements, and it is crazy. And so just keep drawing. And if you can't do a figure modeling class, have a sketchbook, draw your family, draw a story, draw someone at the park walking a dog. What's their story? Figure out their character. study them, do a gesture, do a quick drawing, and just keep drawing people, keep drawing animals. And then if you can master the human figure, you'll be able to get animals, you'll be able to get backgrounds, you'll be able to get props, you'll be able to get anything. Yeah, that's sort of my advice. Also watch movies and TV to do storyboards because you're gonna learn comedy. Learn comedy as best you can. There is also action. There is action boarding. I don't do that as much as well. Definitely not.
How does that differ?
That's different. That's more like, you want to think like Avengers or Marvel shows, Spider-Man. That's like Batman. That's like stuff where the action, there's fights that, there could be also fights in comedy, but it's mostly going to be comedy. There could be action in comedy. There can also be comedy within action, but the majority of the show will be one or the other. And you tend to either be a comedy board artist or an action board artist. Or if you're in feature, well, they might you might not necessarily have a specialty, but this is more of a TV, in the TV realm.
Interesting. Yeah. And so what about the future for you, the future of your career? Is there any particular avenue you would like to get into?
Back to the Future. Yes, Back to the Future again. We're right back to it. There's any avenue. Well, I mean, sometimes storyboard artists can become directors. I mean, maybe someday that could be a thing that could be cool. You're managing people all of a sudden. So perhaps
animation director, which differs from like the voiceover director, correct?
Correct. Yes, correct. Definitely.
You want to explain what an animation director does for us?
Ooh, oh boy. Well, it's like you're overseeing all the storyboard artists, basically a bunch of shows all at the same time. So you're going to be coming in at all the different processes, basically like approving designs, approving the color, approving, but mostly like, going over the storyboard, handing out assignments to revisionists, maybe, handing out, suggesting gags to the board artists, being there for the writing. You're there kind of like shepherding an episode all the way from infancy with the script or the outline all the way to when it ships to go get animated other places. So that's what a director does. You're, and again, there's just some skills there that you have to pick up. I would not know the first thing about if this color looks good, but I would rely on the art director for that, and basically, being like, and then hopefully learn some things as you go. You can't expect to know everything. Some people do. They're superstars. Yeah. So that's kind of what a director does, I guess, in my best guess. I mean, sometimes they could give suggestions to voice actors, but mostly it's that record director who are very cool. They're the ones that I've met are awesome. And also by the way, voiceover actors are probably the nicest people I meet. There's a lot of nice people in animation, but you guys are definitely some of the nicest. So yeah.
And are there some storyboard artists that you look up to or really are inspired by their work?
Totally. Yeah, I mean, when I was in art school, I was looking, again, I had that Beauty and the Beast book. So the three people that were described in that were Roger Allers, Brenda Chapman, and Chris Sanders, who you might know some of those names yourself. They went on to direct like Brave and Lilo and Stitch. They ended up making some great Disney films and contributing to the ones that to a bunch of others that I love as well. So that's where I was like, okay, they were great. I love looking at their stuff. And then, as I got into, I remember in the Batman animated book was Ronnie Del Carmen's boards I would look at, who I think he's at Pixar. And I would also look at my coworkers.
Yeah.
Or it can be as inspiring as anything. Like, in Looney Tunes cartoons, there were 10 storyboard artists. We were all in a room together. We were in cubes, but in this one room together. And we'd be shouting, we'd be joking with each other. You could see each other's drawings. We're doing gags. If we didn't quite have an idea for a gag, we would ask all the other board artists in the room, like, hey, give me a list of things that, you find at a restaurant. And it's like, all of a sudden you got a brainstorming session going on, or like, what could Daffy do here that would be funny? And so, and then you'd also see their boards get pitched, and you'd be like, gosh, I want to draw as well as, Mike Ruaka or Andrew Dickman, someday. Like, what are they doing to make these characters look so good. Like, oh, I'm going to steal that, you know, like I'm going to steal that for them. Like, or I like the way Ryan Katam draws constructed shapes. Makes the characters really easy to look and nice to look at. Like, what is he doing differently? You know, so on the job, there's a lot of inspiration there, for sure.
Wow, cool. Well, it looks like we can go and see. We have a question.
Yeah, totally. And since I had some, delay, with the technical difficulties there, I have no problem going over if you feel.
Oh, thank you. Hunter Murray asks, what was the hardest thing that you had to write?
Let's see. That's a very good question. The hardest thing I had to write. Well, I know that one of the ones that came for some reason easier to me was Pete Puma, who's an incredibly dumb character. So that's probably why it came very more easy to me. For some reason, I can access dumb much easier than a smart character. It just sort of naturally comes to me. But I'm thinking of the hardest one to write. I mean, definitely that first episode I ever did on Fish Hooks was a challenge because I was interpreting a show I didn't quite know. It was a newer show. And I was trying to figure out an 11-minute episode, going from having no job ever to doing an 11-minute episode for Disney and writing and drawing it. So it was like, what is this? The whole thing, by the way, had to be almost completely redone by the time I was done. But I showed enough, I think, oomph where it was like, oh, okay, this guy could maybe, he could be a revisionist on the show and learn the ropes, you know? But that was probably the most challenging. And later I could see if I look at it now, I'd be like, oh, now I know that's what I should have done. And you learn as you go, but I was thankful for their graciousness.
Well, if you guys have any more questions, put them in the box down there. Because Dave, also, do you mind just doing a quick little highlight for my IG stories? Can you just say your name and what you do, and then say, something positive about the show? People should watch it or whatever.
Yeah, totally. Hi, my name's David Shair. I'm a storyboard artist for animation, and you should all watch Alicyn's Wonderland because, my goodness, it's just fun every week. It's just a little hour there that you can just enjoy yourself and just lay back, relax, and let her take you where she wants to take you.
That's great. I love that. And where are we going? We're going down a rabbit hole for sure. Let's see. We have another question that has come in.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. I like how they pop in.
What was your favorite moment of becoming a storyboard writer?
Oh, thank you very much for the question. I would say it is when I did get to do the old Looney Tunes cartoons, and that second show, because of how much I could kind of make a cartoon short my own. I could bring in a lot of humor that I seemed to find funny, and stuff that was more I don't know, my speed, my stuff from real life, and bringing it in there. I was excited. If you watch those Looney Tunes cartoons, they're all going to be different. Look at the board artist and on the card in the credits of who boarded it, and they also wrote it. Look at that, and then you'll see that there's about 10 different board artists on that show. Each cartoon, the cartoons will be very aligned with that particular board artist and their senses of humor. We had people that were overseeing it. Alex Kerwin and Pete Braungart were awesome. They let us run free, and they contributed. And our directors, mine was Kenny Pittenger. You bounce ideas off of them, and it became, of course, a team sport. But you will see that the storyboard artist writer did have a good amount of influence in there, and so the cartoons do end up pretty unique in that respect. So I'd say that was my most proud, was being able to be get in some jokes that may never have appeared in a Looney Tunes cartoon, that I really would be oh, that's that's something I would say. It's just now Pete Puma's saying it. It's all right, see, I don't think it gets better than that.
But now, what percentage of Looney Tunes? I mean, I don't even know how many hundreds of hours of viewing time that entire series since 80 years with Bugs Bunny started. What percentage of Looney Tunes do you think you've watched?
Oh, that I've watched
Yeah,
entire. Oh gosh, I don't know. There's probably there's a lot out
yeah.
there. There is quite a bit. I mean, I think I've definitely gone over 50% though. I think I have
Wow,
of it.
wow.
And we just made 1,000 minutes. Like this Looney Tunes cartoons is 1,000 minutes of cartoons. So they've released it 3 batches so far. So we probably have about 6 to 7 more batches to go because they release about 100, 110 minutes each time of the 1,000 on HBO Max. So that's really that's something. That's like
That's
it's a
a
lot.
lot. That's substantial.
That's
That
just
must
the new
have been a lot
stuff.
of fun. Aw. Well, we have one more question. Let's see. This is this is pretty cool. Hunter asks, can you draw a picture of Queen Alicyn, maybe?
Oh, okay. Let's see if I can do like a quick. All right, so
While you're doing that, let me say, if you couldn't be a storyboard artist, is there another career you would want to do?
oh yeah, I mean, I did love working with animals, but I would get too jumpy around them. It was like it was weird.
Really? You're like the anxious zookeeper?
Yeah, yeah, totally. It's like, oh my God, it moved. I still love them, but it was like I remember at that time it was like, oh yeah, this is it's something where not everybody can do this job. And but I do love working with animals, and I wildlife conservation is a passion of mine, and so I would say if like there was a way that I could help in terms of wildlife conservation through whatever means I could, that would be a great thing. Oh, also, if I could write on Mystery Science Theater 3000, that would be another wonderful job. That's just sort of a pipe dream, and it's not
A
it's just
goal.
something. It's sort of like, but it would be, that would be a lovely job to have. Which is also, I think, there's a lot of things that influence your humor, and how you, I think, operate as in comedy, and I think a lot of what you liked influenced you. And so I would say Mystery Science Theater 3000 definitely had an influence on me. Sitcoms had an influence on me.
Mhm.
Looney Tunes cartoons, Disney movies, but I would say, yeah, there's certain things you can point to. Three's Company.
Oh, sure. Yeah. One of the
Yeah,
greatest sitcoms of all time.
yeah, totally. And very simple. Like I loved it when I was like 4 or 5. I could understand what was happening. He's lying. He's trying to hide the kitten. He doesn't want him to find out. It was very like, you know, I think I
Clear.
made your hair too dark, and uh,
Oh,
but
wow. It's in color?
oh no, it's pen. But oh boy, did I give you a chin? I'm gonna shorten that. It's no.
I
Um,
do have quite the chin. It's kind of like a little witchy chin. It's got the.
I'm not the character designer. That is but here's the thing. I shortened the chin. Here, this is Alicyn. Oh my gosh.
Is
Is
that
she
like
both
that?
on the top
Hi,
and the
guys.
bottom? Wow. Oh my, she's talking to herself.
Hi,
Alicyn, do
Ellie.
you have any questions for yourself, Alicyn?
Uh, yes. How do you get to book these amazing guests like David?
I don't know. You just, sometimes you just gotta like call them up, and they're always available. So that's a great,
Just
always pick the available ones.
a global pandemic helps with availability, you know?
Yes.
When
Oh,
people start
definitely.
going out again,
It could be
quality of
another
the show may go down. Well,
story.
thank
Yes.
you for the masterpiece. And David, thank
Yeah.
you so much for your time. It has been such a pleasure to talk, um, being a storyboard artist with you, and get to hear all about your career and your life. And we're so excited. Keep us posted on when the next Looney Tunes drops, and I'm happy to share them.
Totally. Thanks, Alicyn. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. And yeah, it was great talking to you. Yeah, let's talk again soon, please.
Thank
This has
God
been
for the
fun.
iPad too. We totally pulled through on that.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Good call. I know now I know what to use for the future as
Yeah,
well. This is
I'll put that
excellent.
in my
Great
notes.
call. And
And
it's so
for
much
anybody
bigger.
just tuning in, this is Alicyn's Wonderland. Go ahead and follow if you are interested in catching more of these. Um, yeah, we have a whole bunch of guests lined up. I'm actually going to post a full post of who's coming up. We have in the next couple weeks Ryan Crago, who created the show the movie Arlo the Alligator Boy for Netflix.
Ah,
Musical, it's fantastic, and the upcoming series for that. We have Terry Douglas, who is a Loop Group coordinator and has probably voiced more animated movies than you could imagine. She's been in so many different things. Yeah, so go ahead and check it out. Oh, that's great news, Peyton. And thank you guys so much. Send me a DM if you have any questions, okay? Take care. Bye, guys.
bye.
David, bye.